This week's parasha, just an idea of this week's parasha, we learn about right before the entrance of the Jewish people in the land of Israel, the tribe of Reuben and Gad didn't want to cross into the land of Israel. Right? They decided that they really wanted to stay on the other side of the Jordan, and they asked Moses that they didn't want. They saw the beautiful land on the other side of Israel, the other side of the Jordan River, and they wanted to stay back. Moshe obviously is taken back, and he says, what? So all of your brothers are going to go to Israel, and they're going to fight because, as we know, the Jewish people went into the land of Israel. It took them 7 years to conquer the land, right? Wars. It means that they were in constant war for 7 years, and for another 7 years to divide the land. So a total of 14 years, imagine. And that's without getting all to the details, why it happened and why it happened like that. There's a whole long discussion about that. But it took them 14 years to actually, settle in the land of Israel. So Moses told them, so all your brothers are going to go into Israel. They're going to have to fight. They're going to have to do everything they need to do. And you're going to stay back here and you're a prophet, beautiful. So they told Moses, no, God forbid, we're going to go. As the first ones even, because it was known that Reuben and Gad was a tribe that were big warriors. And they told Moses, no, we're going to go in first with them. We're going to do the whole war. Everybody's going to settle, but then we're going to go back. So when Moses hears that, he says, okay, that's already a different story. But Moses had a different problem. Because, and the question is, how can you not want to go into the land of Israel? Imagine the whole journey of getting out of Egypt was only the beginning, right? The Exodus is the beginning, but the last journey is coming into the land of Israel. So if you're not coming into the land of Israel, you're defeating the whole purpose of the Exodus. There's an Exodus in order to come into the land. So what do you mean you want to stay back? For what reason? So our sages explained that really the tribe of Reuben and Gad wanted to go back to the original trade that our forefathers were always occupied with. What is that? They wanted to be shepherds. And you look carefully, all of our forefathers were all shepherds. Abraham, right? Even before Abraham, but cutting the Avot, who are considered the Avot, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were all shepherds. And look carefully and historically what happens also. When Moses leaves, he runs away from Pharaoh, right? With the whole story that he killed the Egyptian and he runs away. Where does he go and what does he become? A shepherd. He goes into the wilderness. He wants to be. Why? So let's understand why, first of all, our forefathers wanted to be shepherds. Because being a shepherd is very conducive to a very meditative lifestyle. You're alone, you connect. Where does God reveal himself first to Moses? In the bush. Where? As a shepherd. Why was Moses chosen as the person that would deliver the message of God? Because he was a shepherd. Because he had this quality of being a shepherd, you have time to meditate, you're not involved in the physical world and everything. So when we understand Gad and Reuben that want to stay on the other side of the Jordan River, is because they wanted a lifestyle that's disconnected from a physical and a material world. So you would think that Moses should be happy. Moses is confronted with that, and he's saying, no, what do you mean? Why are you going to stay back? And even after they explain to him, no, we're going to fight, he goes along with it, but he doesn't like it. He doesn't like this whole lifestyle. Why? You're going to ask me a question. Why? Moses himself wanted to be a shepherd. But my friend, this is before Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, the world, the physical world, as they say, and I'll give you a very known quote from the Midrash. before Matan Torah, there was a very distinct difference between the material and physical world and the spiritual world. What I mean is that today we use physical and material things and transform them into something spiritual. The example, you take a cow, you take its skin, and you write a parchment of mezuzah on it. So we've taken something physical, instead of making a shoe with it, we made a pair of tefillin with it. Instead of making a jacket with it, we made a mezuzah with it. That means that we took the physical element and we've elevated to something spiritual. It becomes a conduit to something that has a much higher, right? A much higher purpose. It becomes the fusion of a physical world and a spiritual world together. Before Matan Torah, that doesn't exist. And this is what the Midrash says. Before Matan Torah, there was a gzera, there was a decree. Whatever is spiritual stays up here, and whatever is physical and material stays down here. After Matan Torah, at Matan Torah, what does it say? Vayal Moshe el ha'ar. Moshe ascended the mountain, and it says about God, Vayared Hashem el ha'ar. That means that we have this connection between material and physical world with the spiritual world. And that gave us the opportunity, not like Yaakov, because it says that even our forefathers before Matan Torah already did mitzvot. And it says that Yaakov Avinu used to also put on tefillin. But his tefillin were not like the tefillin we have. His tefillin is that he took a few sticks, he wrapped them around his arm, and that's it. And he threw the sticks away. Today, why? Because the spiritual world did not penetrate into the physical. After he finished doing the mitzvah, he was able to throw those sticks away. Whatever we accomplish today by putting on the tefillin, he was able to accomplish with a piece of sticks. But those sticks, or whatever it was, he was able to throw them away after. Why? Because there was not this partnership between the material and the spiritual world. So Moses himself, Moshe Rabbeinu, tells them, it's good to be a shepherd, where you want to disconnect from a physical world. You don't want to be involved in the material world. You don't want to be involved in going out and working and gaining a dollar. You want to be connected to God and being meditative. That's good, but that's good before Matan Torah. That was the work of our forefathers. And the first one that actually made a breach into this whole concept of being a shepherd was who, friends? Joseph. Joseph is, and that, by the way, is the only one that's called a tzaddik. Because all of the brothers of Joseph were what? They were shepherds. But Joseph himself was not a shepherd. Joseph himself descended into Egypt, into what's called Ervat Haaretz, whatever the material and physical world, the worst of the worst, to the lowest of the lowest, and he was able to elevate it. So Moses tells him, the purpose is not to stay secluded as a shepherd somewhere just being meditative. We have to meditate, we have to connect, but we have to connect through physicality. We have to connect through the materialism and taking everything that's material and to elevate them. So why does Moses still agree at the end to send them away? Because at least he wanted them to come into the land of Israel and to know that the whole purpose is to work the land. Those were the mitzvot that Hashem gave the Jewish people, coming into the land, working the land, plowing the land, and working in a material and physical world. And even if they go back, they understand and know that the whole purpose, our purpose, the same to us, is to be involved in the world, not to disconnect from the world, but transforming the mundane into something that is kadosh, something that is sanctified, sanctifying the physical, sanctifying everything that seemed to us mundane and material, and elevating to a higher purpose. Bochim to you.